I wanted to take a second because in doing the install of the D switch to my Land Cruiser, I noticed in reviewing the footage, I was spending an excessive amount of time comparing the SwitchPro to the D switch. And it occurred to me that there's no real guides out there for you guys. I have these conversations with my customers a lot. But there's nothing really out there that kind of compares, these specific differences. And there is a difference between all of them. Let me cut to the chase. I recommend all three. Bet you didn't expect to hear that, right? And I'm going to quickly explain why that is. So let me start with first the brand that is absolutely dominates the lighting market right now. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you want to dispute it. The fact of the matter is, I do retail and installs. Hands down, more of these than everything else combined. Maybe I suck as a salesman, I don't know. But at the end of the day, and even in my off-road group and speaking to people, more times than not, somebody has an AuxBeam light controller instead of either the D switch or the SwitchPro or the Garmin or the Trigger Switch or the S Pod. By far and away, at least out here in Vegas and in the people that I've spoken to in the region, AuxBeam. Now, let's go ahead and talk really quick about some of the highlights and lowlights with this. Again, I recommend all three. So let's talk about who I recommend this for. If you're brand new, if you are, kind of piecing together your lighting, let's say you've just got maybe some ditch lights and some rock pods, maybe a bumper light or two, and then maybe a light bar, right? Something relatively easy compared to some of the really hardcore guys like myself that basically have enough light to be seen from space. If you're one of those, there's nothing wrong with these. There is nothing wrong with these at all. If you're only running a few lights at a time and you're more than happy with it, stick with it. These average anywhere from, I've seen 110 to 189. They run the gauntlet in features, and it really helps to understand what you're working with. Now, in this case, this is a 6-switch system, and it includes the regular constant on-off. So turn it on, it stays on, hit the button again, it turns off. It includes pulsating or strobe, so hit the button and it flashes. Good for chase lights, good for getting, emergency vehicles, warning lights, any of fun, any of that. And it's got a momentary, which is just when you're pressing it, it actually turns on, and as soon as you let go, it turns off. In other words, think like your horn. You hit your horn and it beep. That does that too. So some of it includes Bluetooth functionality with the app. Some of it has a remote. There is a lot of variety in the AuxBeam market. Again, if you're just starting out or you're not running a lot of lights, this is great. However, if you are running a lot of lights or you are running expensive lighting and you are constantly having them on all at the same time, the major limitation with AuxBeam, Nightlight, Last Fit, and the like, even Temu and Alibaba, no names, they're starting to hit the scenes and they're all the same box. But if you're one of those, these are limited traditionally to 60 amp concurrent, or some of the better ones lately have been coming out with 80 amp concurrent. Now, if you're running rock lights, ditch lights, a couple of bumper lights, and maybe a couple of pods up top or in behind or something, you're fine. You'll never come close to that. If you're running like me, 8 5-inch lights on the top bar, you will nuke this your very first attempt out of the gate. You really need a relay for it to be able to handle. And if I'm being fair really quick, same with the rest. All of these are able to handle 30 or 35 amps per channel. So you need to be aware of that. But the big thing is, and where this matters is, if you have, let's say, a 50-inch light bar and 2 ditch lights and 4 3-inch bumper lights and rock lights, there is a good chance that you're pushing that 60 and that this will actually go into thermal protect. I started out with an AuxBeam, and as I progressed further, I got to the point where I was going down a trail and all of a sudden my lights would stop. And I'm like, oh, great. You know, something's going on. No, it's going into thermal protect because I was exceeding the amperage. So again, if you're just starting out, cool. This is your jam. Highly recommend it. By far and away, the #1 install that I do in terms of light controllers. On the other end of the scale, once I burned that one out and I knew that I was getting a little more serious, we went to this guy. This is the SwitchPro SP 9100. And at the time when I did it, this was the gold standard. I mean, this thing had everything. It could handle 125 amps, which was double the AuxBeam at the time. It could be programmed to flash strobe. So I didn't need to have any extra modules or buy lights that have that little feature. I could do it on the controller switch right then and there. It had trigger wires. So if I wanted to like turn on my brights, and when I do that, it turns on my light bar and all my forward facing, I could do that. So the list of features were amazing. It had a Bluetooth, it had an app that connected via Bluetooth, and I can control it. I can put a battery voltage level cutoff. So like in my case, if my battery voltage gets below 11.4, it will kill the lights so that I can still start my car. The AuxBeam doesn't do that. So something else to keep in mind. But the list of features on it was amazing, and it was waterproof. There were a couple of major drawbacks, though, that, quite frankly, I wish somebody would have made an install or made a comparison video like this. $650. You're not done at $650. Let me tell you that right now. Now, maybe if you wanted to, you could go ahead and connect your positive, do your little bit of negative that's required, and then hardwire everything to your connectors here. But that's not really the point of the SwitchPro. The SwitchPro is really meant to be ran with a terminal block and bus bar block so that you can easily change your lights in and out however you want to. And that's what we did here. And one of the more popular things is something called a power tray, because not only do you ideally need those components, you have to mount this vertically, either this way or this way. You cannot lay it flat. And a lot of people found that out the hard way because they would have some issue with it. And the first thing that SwitchPro would say is, send me a picture of the unit. And they would. I want you to think about this. What would a picture tell SwitchPro about how you wired, or how many lights, or how many amps, or any of that that was possibly connected in this? The only thing that they were looking for when they asked you to send the picture was to make sure that you had it installed like this. And a lot of people didn't realize that. And a lot of people were told, tough luck, you installed it like this. They don't want you doing it like this because look, that's where your connections are. So when you do it like this, water can get in there, it pools, it touches the leads, and you short it out. So a lot of people found out the hard way that the SwitchPro is not so waterproof. And to be perfectly honest, that's their fault, because it very clearly states in the instructions that you have to mount it like this. And I have had it mounted like this for over 2.5 years, and it has given me 0 issues. None. Okay. So the D-Switch obviously wasn't available at the time. I was doing a number of shows and events. I was running more than 60 concurrent amps, and I wanted things that incorporated strobes and programmable, and that I can do from my phone and from the controller. And the SwitchPro set that gold standard. And it has been as long as I've really been serious about my lighting. So for the last 2.5 years, it's been pretty much it. Great system. And let me tell you, I ain't getting rid of it. This is going in my Jeep. Enter now the newest kid on the block. Now, cards on the table, I am an ambassador for DiodeDynamics. I have been working with them for a couple of years now, and I have had their products on 3 different vehicles, Tacoma, Subaru, and my Land Cruiser 250 now. They are a US-based team. They are based out of Missouri. all of their assembly, all of their production, all of that is out of the Missouri office. Social media team is phenomenal. They support us and they support their customers. So for that reason in and of itself, I am obviously a huge Diode fan, but I'm also subjective because I run the small business. So in this case, this was a want and not a need. I didn't need to upgrade from the SwitchPro. I wanted to, and very specifically, I wanted to because this offers something that none of the others in the market at the moment offer. And that is a dedicated row strictly for backlight DRL functionality. One of the things that has taken place in this industry is that the DRL / glow / backlight functionality is really starting to be replicated throughout the industry. I really noticed it the first time with DiodeDynamics and the SS5 pods. I then saw it on Rigid with the Radiant series. And now fast forward, even AuxBeam has it, even Temu products have it, Alibaba have it. It's going out there. And those are 3 wires. And one of the drawbacks of the SwitchPro is, and it's not even a drawback, but a minor annoyance, is that those DRLs need to be on a separate feed. So now when I got all of this on the SwitchPro, I was down to 7 with one of them dedicated for the backlight being able to turn on and off. DiodeDynamics introduced that row, and you can now plug all of your DRL lights into that. There's a dedicated backlight button on the controller strictly for that, and you still get your 8 channels. Now, again, though, still a want and not a need. I got a Jeep. Jeep's starting to get built up. I need a light controller. Yay, there's our need. So this guy, the SwitchPro, is going to be going into the Jeep, and for a couple of reasons. One, there's not a power tray available, and we need to discuss that topic real quick as well. But there is not a power tray that's actually out there available for the Land Cruiser, but there's plenty for the Jeep. So I can get a much cleaner install. And again, it hasn't failed me in 2.5 years. I am stepping up my lighting efforts on the Jeep, and now's a good enough time. I do a lot of shows and events in the Land Cruiser this year, and in some of those I actually have to lift my hood, or people have asked to see under my hood. And MacGyvering terminal blocks and bus bars and circuit breakers is not fun, and it's not an aesthetically pleasing look. It doesn't do overly well compared to a fully contained unit like the D-Switch. This is actually able to go right on top of my fuse box extremely cleanly. It's got a lid just like that, imagine, and it's very clean. And the thing's already wired up in there, extremely clean. The concurrent amp, same as the SwitchPro, it has 3 programmable leads that come off of it as well. I can set the low limit on the voltage. And the other nice thing that I really like about this is that through the app, I can go in and adjust settings, such as if I press a button, do I want it to strobe, or do I want it to be constant, or do I want it to be momentary? I can do that on the fly, and when I set it and then go back, it sticks. I don't need to completely back out of the app and relaunch it. I can do it on the fly, which is really nice. So we are going to try to keep this as short as possible. There is the one other thing that I want to discuss, and it's price on this guy. Actually, price is all the way around. AuxBeam, 110, don't get that one, to 180. Try to shoot for the 150 to 165 mark. I find the higher ends to be a little gimmicky personally. So let's say 150. Minimum recommendation, 150. SwitchPro starts out at 650, but you really need to get yourself a circuit breaker, a bus block, terminal block, and a bus bar. You also need to get some sort of mount so that you can mount this properly and not void your warranty. My good buddy was able to guide me back in the day, and I was able to get that done with Blue Sea Systems, so decent components, but the mounting bracket was a little bit cheaper. I was able to get away with an additional $200, and I wired it myself. So $850 total, plus tax shipping, but let's not get into that. So the power tray, which is the all-in-one ready to go, which is very popular on Cali Rays, Running for Tacos, even the company power tray, those are in about $360. So this device is actually in the range of $850 to $1,010. And I hope you know how to wire, because if you don't, you're going to be paying somebody $800 to $1,500 depending on what they're tying in. That's just the reality. So when you look on paper and you see 150 or even better, 600, 650, and you're like, it's a $50 difference, I'm going to go with that because that's what everybody talks about at the moment. It's actually a lot more, and you need to be prepared for that. I found that out the hard way. Nobody told me. This is literally what comes in the box, plus a power wire, a negative, and your harnesses. That's it. The terminal block, the mounting tray, none of that's there. So, anywhoots, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up now. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we gave you a little bit of knowledge and you're a little bit more armed, and you're able to select the one that's gonna work for you.